Chaos has a lot of forms. Basically, the chaos that I deal with is clutter, but that is also a lot more expansive than just that word. People think of clutter as just stuff, if I had piles behind me or whatever, but it's never just the stuff.
You're listening to the Leverage Your Incredible Factor podcast with Darnyelle, Jervey, Harmon. If this is your first time joining me for the podcast, here's what I'd like for you to know about me. First and foremost, I am the absolute best at combining spiritual principles with business growth strategy to turn entrepreneurs into multiple 6- and 7-figure CEOs. Second, I don't do hustle and grind. I do spirituality and systems. And you might be wondering, what in the devil is an incredible factor? And if so, I invite you to go all the way back to the very first episode of this podcast. It's aptly titled, Exactly What is the Incredible Factor? There's even a cool worksheet that I want you to do that will help you to find yours. Oh, I will likely say some things that will make you laugh, a few things that could make you cry, and definitely make you question if you are ready to leverage your incredible factor. Remember, I'm a coach, and my job is to tell you what you don't want to hear and show you what you don't want to see, all to help you to become who God created you to be. I'm so excited that you're here. In today's episode, Incredible One, I hope you can hear my smile. I am tickled purple. I am over the moon excited to share one of my clients with you, Kerry Thomas. Oh my goodness. There are really not even enough words to speak to what it is that Kerry does. But as you saw, the title of this episode is called Conquer the Chaos. I mean, as anybody in the face of this pandemic of COVID-19 experiencing any chaos in their life, one of my favorite parts of my interview with Kerry was when she broke down all of the different types of clutter, whether it's spiritual clutter, emotional clutter, physical clutter, or mental clutter. All of the clutter is threatening to keep you from what it is that is waiting for you on the other side of everything that's going on right now. I know that you are about to get your socks blessed off of you by listening in to me share about Kerry. Let me just tell you a little bit about Kerry in my own words. Kerry is the CEO of a company called Conquer the Chaos. And I'm not going to read her formal bio because I just think that her bio doesn't do justice to what it is that she does. She is technically a productivity consultant. She technically organizes and comes into your home and removes physical clutter. I say technically because her work is a lot deeper than that. She actually has this innate strength and ability to be able to look at your physical clutter and determine the other forms of clutter that has created it. I mean, she's bad to the bone bad, and you are about to get blessed in the most amazing way as we jump into this interview with Kerry Thomas. Grab pen, grab paper, let's go. Let's get ready. All right. Next voice coming to you is my interview with Kerry Thomas. Hi, Kerry. I'm so excited to welcome you to the Leverage Your Incredible Factor podcast. Yay.
Thank you for having me. This is great.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So before we get started, I just want to give you an opportunity to share who you are in your own words.
Great. As she said, my name is Kerry Thomas. I am the owner of Conquer the Chaos. And I am passionate about helping people in their offices, whether home office or small business, get out of that overwhelm and get organized and set up systems for success. I love helping people feel that they can accomplish their work and enjoy their life. And so that's what I'm passionate about. I've had my company since 2007. It has gone through some changes here and there, different versions of the company. And actually, I'm excited to talk to you today about something that's happened that's leading me in a little bit different direction and also going to lead to what I talk about at your event. So awesome. You don't even know where I'm going with that. So
awesome. Well, okay. Well, she let the cat out of the bag already. So Kerry is one of our powerhouse speakers at Breakthrough in Business, which our theme this year, which may become the name of the event going forward, is Next Level Everything. I asked Kerry to speak at Breakthrough because she has a powerful like smack your mama powerful story. Her personal story, I don't know how much she's going to share with you today. I don't want her to let it all out of the bag so that when you hear it at the event, you're not like, yeah, I already heard that. But I think the other thing the reason why I wanted to have Kerry on is because her work, she made it just sound warm and fuzzy a few minutes ago. But her work is so deep and introspective. In case you missed it, she said, my company is called Conquer the Chaos. So we're going to pull back the layers on the onion on that, Kerry. What is this chaos to which you speak? Tell us about that first.
Well, chaos has a lot of forms. Basically, the chaos that I deal with is clutter, but that is also a lot more expansive than just that word. People think of clutter as just stuff, if I had piles behind me or whatever, but it's never just the stuff. There's mental clutter and emotional clutter and spiritual clutter, and so much in our society now we have digital clutter, and businesses have systems clutter. They have too many things going on and nobody knows which end is up. And there's even something that's called abundance clutter, just where even if we have the room to store things, sometimes it becomes clutter just having that much stuff. And it really depends upon the person. But I like to dive deep into not just, I don't want to just go in and fix things or make it pretty, make it like, I don't want to just organize, I guess is what I'm saying. We want to deal with how we got there and how to make it not occur again.
Right, because if we don't deal with the root, it's going to grow back, right? It's like weeds and just cutting a little part that you can see. It's still underneath the surface and it's going to resprout, right? So, okay, so you said some really powerful, juicy stuff that I want to pull on a little bit. So you said abundance clutter because we have space for more. You said mental clutter. I definitely want to talk about mental clutter, but I really, really want to talk about spiritual clutter.
Okay.
Because everybody who listens to this podcast knows that I spend most of my time pontificating about God and spirituality and how that pertains to business. So what would you define spiritual clutter as?
I define it as a couple different things. So the first one, the main one, the biggest, is it's not living in your purpose. So it's anything that is keeping you from living the life that you want to lead and that you are also meant to lead.
Ooh, okay.
That is spiritual clutter. Spiritual clutter often comes from a lack of forgiveness, a lack of faith. Things like that can lead to, and you mentioned mental. So very often the mental and the emotional clutter, which is like negative patterns, negative voices. I know you've talked a lot about how the brain, the pathways in the brain and not making the casual covenants and things like that. So those can lead to that clutter. And those piled on top of each other can also lead to the spiritual clutter because people just feel like they get to the point of wanting to give up and not having hope.
So is that the primary symptom, that I get to the point where I feel like I'm without direction. I don't know what to do. I want to give up. I have no motivation. Is that how I know that I'm experiencing spiritual clutter?
Definitely. And like I said, it ties to your purpose. If you feel like I have no purpose, what am I doing here? Why am I even bothering?
Yeah, that could be dangerous.
Very.
So how do you identify that that's the problem? And then what do you do for a person to help them to eliminate the spiritual clutter?
Well, you can hear it in what people say. And this is a lot of what I've been actually studying about and learning about lately, is how this all ties together with an event very often that comes before the disorganization. So there are people out there that they need help organizing, not because they are naturally messy or disorganized people or they can't figure out a filing system, but they need help organizing because they've become paralyzed. And that paralysis, I noticed many years ago that many of my clients, they're really smart people. And they know what to do, but they needed the guidance because they had either suffered an extended illness or depression or a death in the family or some other event that led them to be very, very stuck and to need that guidance of putting things in place for them that were manageable.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I
so,
love it. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep going.
no, I was just going to say, to answer your question a little bit better before you go on, how do I know that that's what it is? Because of course I have clients that call me and they say, we would like you to look at our business systems. And I go in and I do things and it's very cut and dry and they don't have any underlying problems. And so it's just in and out. And, those are great clients. But what I look for to know if I have to dive deeper are those comments that like the comments about themselves that they make. And like, I'm lazy. I can't stop procrastinating, those type of things. So I start looking for those signs, and that tells me if we need to look at a little bit deeper.
Yeah, what I love is that you take the time to do that diagnostic work, right? Mm-hmm. To make sure that it's not just shuffling some papers around. I mean, if you saw my desk right now, you might scream because it's a little chaotic.
Well, in full disclosure, I put some stuff on the floor.
But I love that you go deeper and that you figure out what the underlying causes are, because like you said earlier, if you don't, then it will come back. And that is like the perfect segue to talk about what breakthrough is and why I don't even know if I realize how intricate our work really is in terms of same level, but different, different vantage point and then different end result. But at the end of the day, conquering the same things, looking at the same things. And because that's a big part of the reason why I felt called to do breakthrough, because I was frustrated with my own clients who I was teaching them the strategies, the things that would make them boatloads of money, but they weren't making boatloads of money. And I was like, why is it not cut and dry? Why is it not just put these papers in this pile and organize the system and then we're done, right? And I started realizing that it was the 6 inches in between the ears that was creating the challenge for them. And that's why the strategies wouldn't stick. And I still remember, like, I never would have proclaimed myself to be a mindset person. Not at all. I love money and I love finding a pathway to money, but I can't create the pathway to money if you got mindset issues. And so having to do that deep work, and you talked about forgiveness and you talked about faith, which are two very important themes at Breakthrough. People don't understand the correlation to unforgiveness and lack.
Right.
But it
and
is
often
real.
It's yourself. Often it's you.
Yeah. It's always us. Yeah. Now, I mean, there might be somebody else way out there somewhere who did something to us when we were 6 years old and we're still holding on to, but it's often the misgivings of what we didn't do, the decisions we didn't make that we're still holding on to. And it's the reason why we are crippled and we can't move forward at this particular point in time. But I have been amazed at getting people to do their unforgiveness work and how that frees and allows flow to happen inside of their business. And even in my own business, if I'm not closing sales or I can't focus, I'm like, I must have there's somebody I need to forgive somewhere. I don't know who it is. I literally keep this journal and I have all the people, like everybody I've ever forgiven is in there. And I go back through and I'm like, am I still holding anything? I remember I had this one person, I thought I had forgiven them. And then I ran into them in Walmart and I had a visceral reaction in my body. And like, they wanted to give me a hug. And I was like, okay, you need to do some more forgiveness work because you clearly are still holding on to something.
I had a visceral reaction a couple of weeks ago, and you told me not to give things away. So I'm actually not going to tell the whole story, but it was someone that I really respect on Facebook, and she's a coach and she's a friend of a friend. And she wrote something. And like I said, I truly respect her work. And she wrote something, and I have a no confrontation, hard and fast rule on Facebook. And she triggered something in me. Oh my goodness. And I responded, I linked articles, and it was very unlike me. And then she had a very gracious response, very, very gracious. And then I sat back and said, okay, where did that come from and why? And so you have those moments still where you kind of lose it and have to reevaluate.
Yeah, because we're human. Right. And that's the thing that I think we sometimes forget as entrepreneurs and small business owners, because we're so many things to so many people, But we forget that first and foremost, the first thing that we are is a human being. And that means we have feelings, we have emotions. They get out of whack sometimes. Mercury can be in retrograde, whatever the reason. And it just, sends us off of our rocker. And that's why we need a space like Breakthrough to give us a place of comfort where we can kind of let our guard down and be vulnerable and do that work that we're not able to do anywhere else. Like, you can't necessarily just try to do this in your own home, especially if you have other people living with you, right? There's no space is your own, really. And so to be able to have an environment like that. So talk about your Breakthrough experience. So you came to Breakthrough for the first time last year. I remember you wanting to come in 2018, but your son he had some baseball stuff going on, I believe. That
was my older son. You're remembering from way back in 2014. Okay. I left the event early. No, my younger son had the state track finals.
Oh, state track. Okay.
Yeah. So it was his senior year. I certainly wasn't going to miss that.
Absolutely. And I would have been mad at you if you would have been like, I'm coming. I'm like, no, priorities.
Yeah.
So you got to come for the first time last year. Talk about what that was like.
It was great. It was at a very necessary, needed time for me. The timing was perfect. I came very open to whatever it was, all the activities. You talk about the forgiveness activity and all the other. I came very open because it was just a time where I was really, really ready for something like that. And so because of that, it was extremely powerful for me.
What was your biggest takeaway? Like, what was the thing that impacted you the most?
Breaking the board, because I struggled. I was one of the few people in the room that really struggled. And I think I'm actually excited. I keep thinking about it like a couple times a week. I'm like, I get to go back and do it on the first try because I know I will this time.
Yeah.
But it just really spoke to the self-doubt I had a year ago, was that like 10 months ago now? And I was one of the ones that really, really struggled. And breaking it was great. And then I've told you the story. I broke it again after everyone was done because the videotape didn't work. And that time I did it the first try. So that was fabulous. But that wasn't even the biggest thing for me. The biggest thing was the support, the people that came up and just like whispered in my ear and told me, that I could do it and that I was strong and the support. So you mentioned like going there and you have this space where you can get this work done. And it's not just even that. It's all the people there helping each other.
Yeah, they're in the same place. They're needing the same thing. And so that community that comes together is really, really powerful. Like, I don't think that there's anything like it in the world. Like, I really don't. I know I was just interviewing another speaker and she said, if you're only going to one event this year, Breakthrough needs to be it. And I was like, you know what, that's it. Like, how do we get people to understand that you got to come and do this work? Because if you don't do it, you continue to delay the results that are coming out of it. I'm excited to hear you speak because you have a powerful story, period, but then you've had a lot of things happen over the last year that I think just even deepens your resolve to do the work that you're called to do and stepping even more powerfully into that space. Talk about that a little bit.
Yes. And some of it comes directly from that incident that I told you about that happened a couple weeks ago where I was totally triggered. And I realized that, like, as I said, I work with so many people and you see that some events, something is holding them back. And something has led to this level of disorganization that they feel that they're not capable of really getting back on track by themselves. And gosh, it's hard to say this without giving it all away. But bottom line, I have become, through my own work and through my own therapy and through my own reading and research, I have become extremely interested and passionate about helping people who are recovering from trauma. And trauma takes many different forms. And I'll actually talk about that in my talk a little bit. And I think what it is we all think we should be able to get things done. And you hear like, just do it and go for it and, hustle and grind and all these things. And there sometimes in people's lives where they literally can't. Like they just can't. I'm going to cry now. And I have seen that so much over the years. And now that I've lived it, I realize that I lived it for a reason.
That's so good. Like when you realize it didn't happen to you, it happened for you.
Right.
And so that it can ultimately happen through you so that you can help someone else avoid the thing that you missed that made you go through it, but realizing that it was purposeful the entire time.
Right.
That is really a powerful space to sit in. So I'm excited about you being able to share from that space of power. And there's this powerful shift that has to happen for those of you who are, watching this live, because we're going to air the video, and the video will go on, YouTube and Facebook and everywhere we can put it. But we're also this is going to be an episode on the podcast. So for those of you who are watching this, one of the things that I think is important for you, because those of you who are listening, you won't be able to see what I'm about to do, is to understand that it's literally like, this is the wall, right? And this is the wall that is keeping you from whatever it is that you truly desire to experience, right? And when you're on this side of the wall, you have moments that occur where you attempt to get through and you just can't. And it creates what I like to call the panic point. And when we panic, we start vibrating at a level of negativity where all we do is continue to re-experience the same things over and over again. I think that's why people say we hit our heads against the wall, hoping that eventually the wall breaks and our head doesn't bust open, right? But it's because the panic that sets in, it prevents us from rational thoughts. So what fear has, to make this real for most people, and the reason why fear is the thing you have to learn how to control, is because fear, left undiagnosed to understand what it's really saying, creates panic. And panic sends us into this cycle of constantly doing the same thing and expecting a different result, which we all know is the definition of insanity. And so whenever we're at this point of fear, because we know that on the other side is what we want, we have to see fear for what it really is. And that's an indication that our next level is close. And most people can't get there on their own because of all of the other background clutter or chaos, as Kerry would say, that is in the way. And so when that is happening, you need someone like Kerry or something like Breakthrough to help you to get rid of it, so that the panic turns into a passion point, so that you can lower your defenses and clear the pathway to get what it is that you want. And that's the key of this work that Kerry is talking about. And she's making it sound very simple because she doesn't want to give it all away, so that when you see her at Breakthrough, you're not like, oh, I already know what she's going to say. I'm going to go to the bathroom now. Because trust me, you don't want to hear her. She is a very powerful orator. If you've never heard of her before and you want to learn more about her, I highly recommend that you go and Google search her TED Talk. How many views are you up to now?
My son keeps track. I think it's about 730,000.
Yeah, so 730,000 people in a year or 2 years?
2 years.
2 years. So a lot of people have at least listened to her initial thoughts around why we experience clutter and chaos at the level that we do. And then people are seeking her out to come and speak or train or to work directly with her to eliminate the clutter. So if you happen to be one of those people who has a lot of clutter in the way, then you might need a Kerry in your life. And the place that you can find her is either through the show notes or you can come to Breakthrough, because she's going to be there and she's going to be on fire. She's going to light up the stage and she is going to shift and change the realities of the people in the audience. I'm so excited for Kerry, as well as all of our speakers. Everyone we have this year is just so stinking powerful. It's not even funny. It's like, how do we even contain it? I have a really good friend who reached out to me. It was kind of cute. So she sends me a text message. She's like, are you okay? And I was like, oh, I'm great. She's like, well, I'm just asking because I looked at flyer for your event, and I've never seen you have as many speakers as you have now. I wanted to make sure that you weren't over there having some kind of a midlife crisis. I was like, no, I have some real power hitters that are coming to share their story on the breakthrough stage. And we introduced the speakers last year. 2019 was the first year that we did it, because I wanted to continue to create that space of community so that you would know that real people just like you have been through some things and come out on the other side. Because I think when we're going through, when we're in that panic, we think that there's no one like us, that we are a unicorn and no one else gets it, and there's no way they could possibly understand. But then you come to breakthrough and you're surrounded by genius people who are all got their own stuff that they're working through all at the same time. And you're like, oh my gosh, I found my people.
That's so true.
Anything else you want to share about your work, about breakthrough? I am going to ask you, why should people come? So don't answer that question yet. Okay. But anything else you want to share about either of those before we start to wrap up?
No, I don't think so. I think I would just like to say that TED Talk, if this just came to me, but if anyone listening has an opportunity to do something like that, to step out of your comfort zone, to do something, just go for it. I mean, I honestly thought I was going to do this talk. It was bucket list, check. I thought my mom would watch it and that was it. Maybe show it to some of her friends. Mm-hmm. And you alluded to it. People still contact me on a regular basis. And without being dramatic, doing that talk changed my life. It mm-hmm. changed my business. It changed my life. It changed a lot of things. So I just would like to encourage people, if you have the opportunity, even if you're scared, just jump. Steve Harvey has that great video where he talks about that. Just take the leap, just jump. And I would say go for it. And that's what I help people get to that place where they feel confident in their daily routine and in their stuff, mm-hmm. so that they can then step out and live out their purpose.
Yeah, definitely. And I love, I heard this quote years ago. The person said, jump or you'll spend the rest of your life being pushed. Mm-hmm. Like, do you really want someone else controlling the shots in your life, or do you want to take that leap of faith? And if you need help with any of that, Breakthrough is the perfect place for you. It is a mindset shift and spiritual alignment incubator for entrepreneurs that are ready for leverage and scale. So if you know that there is more in you, you're meant for more, but you haven't been able to get it to come out to the surface, then Breakthrough is a catalyst to bring all of that up so that you can actually process it and do something with it. So Kerry, why do you believe that people should join us at Breakthrough?
You just said some of it. And I think the main reason that people should come is because we all, as business owners and entrepreneurs, we've all been through so much training, so we've been through masterminds or we've been through coaching groups or whatever it is. And we've done training on our own or at workshops. And we have so much information, but people aren't taking it and applying it to the level that they can. Mm-hmm. And the reason is exactly what you've been saying this whole time we've been talking. It's because you're not in alignment and you haven't fixed, in between mm-hmm. your ears. And this is a dedicated time and space to peel all that back mm-hmm. and look at it unafraid. Like you said, everyone in the room will be doing the same thing. You can share a lot or share a little. I mean, if you're shy, you can just do your own work, but you probably won't by the end of the 3 days. You'll probably be making really good lifelong friends. But I would say that's the main reason. We all think we know it. Well, I know it. I know what I should do. I know how to do marketing. I know, how to do lead generation. Or yes, we all know it, but why aren't we doing it? And that's what you help people figure out.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that you just brought up when you said that is when you say, I already know that, you shut the door to the possibility of transformation, because your ego, because it feels like it completely shuts down your ability to take in new information and process it, synthesize it so that you can use it. And so you want to avoid that at all costs. But what I love about Breakthrough is that it is a safe space. It is definitely a space where you will not be judged. You will be celebrated and supported to get whatever is next and best for you, which I really, really love. All right. So before I let you go, Kerry, on the podcast, I always ask 3 questions in closing. These are our incredible factor wisdom questions. And the first question is, what is the last book that you read?
Making Elephants Fly. I met Terry Weaver, who's the author of that book, last year at another great event that I went to. And he wrote this book, and I bought it at the event, and I read it. I've actually read through 2 times now. And it's about what I talked about living out your purpose. Okay. That's a really, really good book. I also am reading for the second time Atomic Habits by James Clear, because I would like to be James Clear when I grow up. Everything that comes out of his mouth, like, yes, that, yes.
That's awesome. Second question, what is your favorite quote?
Oh, I am never good at this. I like the Maya Angelou one, and I don't know if I'll say it properly, but just about not letting anything dull your sparkle. Dim your light. Dim your light. So I like that one. I'm so bad at that. I'm bad at song titles. I'm bad at remembering quotes. I'm bad at remembering Bible verses. I don't know. It's some skill that my brain doesn't process.
It's okay. I'll find the exact quote and I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay.
And then lastly, what is one tool that you swear by to grow your business?
To grow my business. Speaking is my biggest tool to grow my business.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, there you have it, folks. You can join us at breakthroughinbusinessevent.com to secure your seat. If you really enjoyed hearing Kerry share a little bit about her work and share a little bit of her story, and you definitely want to be there, you might even want to reach out to her, because Kerry has some Bring a Friend tickets. And her Bring a Friend tickets are a little bit discounted than what you'll find if you go to the website. So we'll put all of Kerry's information in the show notes to make sure that you know how to connect with her. And we'll look forward to seeing you this May at Breakthrough in Business, Next Level Everything. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Didn't I tell you? I tried to tell you that KerryIsTheBomb.com, and the way that she breaks down clutter is just so remarkable. It makes it easy. It removes some of the stress, the overwhelm, and anxiety that I know people are feeling right now as a result of it. So if, as you were listening to Kerry, you got your whole life and you want to stay connected to her, you want to make sure you check out the show notes. That'll take you to her website so that you can learn about everything that it is that she has going on. And I'll do you one better. Kerry will be speaking at Breakthrough in Business, Next Level Everything this fall. And there's an opportunity for you to join us. Here's what I know. When this is all over, said and done, we are going to need an event like Breakthrough, Next Level Everything more than life itself. It's going to be exactly what you need to recalibrate, readjust, get back to really seeing yourself the way that God sees you, and set you up for the most powerful breakthrough you have ever experienced. To learn more about Breakthrough in Business, you can go to our show notes. We've got the link there for you. Although we have temporarily suspended our marketing efforts in the sensitivity of what's going on right now, registration is open. And if you know you want to join us this fall, then you can go ahead and grab your ticket. But I want to thank you for listening into Kerry. I already know that your life was changed. Here's what I want you to do. If you would do me this favor, wherever you're listening to this podcast, if you would go and leave a review or leave a comment about how understanding your clutter is going to help you to make it through this pandemic, you would I would be so grateful, and I know that Kerry will be blessed by your comments as well. So again, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Take care. Thank you for joining me for the Leverage Your Incredible Factor Business Podcast. I'd really love to help you grow a business that funds the life you crave while doing work that shakes the planet. Get started today by applying for a discovery session with me or a member of my team at Darnyelle.com/session. And if you enjoyed our time together, do yourself a favor. Head on over to iTunes, subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. Until next time, remember, you do deserve a business that funds the life you crave. Take care.